which gives you a general direction as to where we're heading. Simon and the Ever Forgiving Collective. After hearing a recent confession about a secondary boys' boarding school, I feel moved to write in about an incident that occurred there in 1965, when I was 15 years old. It goes without saying that everything I did here was very foolish. I'm sure that ordinary schools, boarding schools, chemistry labs in particular, are a particular rich scene for confessions. Whether they are legal and decent, of course, is another matter, which I happily leave to you. But I underlined what I said. Everything I did here was exceptionally foolish.
Okay, don't do this at home, kids.
No.
I was a chemistry student at the time, in spite of the fact that the chemistry teacher was, in my opinion, utterly hopeless. He made everything really rather boring, which in my view was a crime, particularly when he had so many interesting, well, chemicals to hand. So a couple of us decided to do our own thing. There are a number of red flags in this story, by the way. If the teacher can't inspire you, then we would read books. That's what we decided. What possible harm could reading books do? Chemistry books with lots of experiments in and lots of information about how you too can experiment to further your knowledge about our wonderful planet. Some of them, these experiments, seem more legal than others, but hey, it was all in the cause of education, so that's okay, isn't it?
Maybe.
Here's the dangerous phrase in the next sentence, right at the very beginning. You're spotted.
Okay.
It was nearing November the 5th.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The season, Father Simon, of gunpowder, treason and plot.
Yeah.
But Guy Fawkes took everything just a little too far, don't you think? Well, yes. So we were thinking of making a small firework, one of the indoor ones that can be used as tabletop family-friendly entertainment. A snake in the grass, that was a good one. Erupting volcano, that's a good one. Puffing Billy, where a miniature sailor smokes a miniature cigarette, that kind of thing. Different times.
Different times, everyone.
Different
times.
We used to have those miniature tabletop fireworks. They were great. Anyway, we were certainly not making one of these stand well back, light the blue touch paper type of fireworks. We were young and foolish, but not that foolish. We were aware that we had the recipe, the chemicals, and a little ability to manufacture what was needed. So during a double practical on a Friday afternoon, we set about our task while simultaneously doing what we were supposed to do so that we wouldn't get rumbled. Having made, shall we say, the substance in 3 batches for safety, we were left with a purple sludge. Try as we might, heating it, knocking it, even trying to light it, nothing happened. Obviously, this feels more red flaggy as I go through it, but anyway. The lesson came to an end, and disappointed, we decided to dump the substance in the sink and clear off. What a waste of time and effort that was. What we didn't know was that it's only when this substance fully crystallized and dried that it became usable for indoor fireworks. At this point, anyone who knows their chemistry knows what's been made, okay? It appears that this happened overnight because the next morning the caretaker came in. This is where it becomes a bit Scooby-Doo. The caretaker came in to give the labs a good clean at the end of the week. He had with him his mop and a metal bucket, which he proceeded to drop into the flat-bottomed lab sink to fill with water. What happened next, apparently, according to a lab technician who was in sorting out equipment, was an enormous bang. The bucket shot upwards, hitting the ceiling, and then back down and hit the cleaner.
Oh, no.
Ceiling tiles rained down. He finished up on the floor, shocked but fortunately with no actual injuries. He was helped away and given a cup of tea whilst he recovered. An investigation, of course, ensued. However, the sink had cracked and collapsed downwards, so fortunately traces of the substance had disappeared in the mess, and it was decided it was probably gas from a leaky Bunsen burner. If in doubt, you can blame the Bunsen burner. Yeah. So there were no repercussions for us. I realise now
Yeah, go on.
that we had been very, very stupid.
Yeah.
And would not recommend making this substance at all, ever, under any circumstances.
Correct.
I therefore would like to confess and heartily apologise to the cleaner, though he's probably long gone by now, as he was not the intended recipient of the shock. So I plead with the collective for forgiveness for this prank, which was a long, long time ago, but which did have unlimited consequences. Well, that's a very interesting story. Unintended consequences always happen here. P.S. I got a C in my chemistry A level.
Yeah, I
was really pleased about it. Anyway, Dr. Brown wants the forgiveness. Let's see what's going to happen with Sister Katie, Susie.
I mean, that was never going to end unwell, covered in red flags. You're so lucky that the cleaner wasn't, more seriously injured or hurt by that. And I also really hope that the cleaner got more than a cup of tea. That seems like quite a harrowing experience to go through, but have a cup of tea. So yes, unsurprisingly, you are not forgiven, Dr. Brown.
Back in the 60s, that was first aid.
I see. Okay.
Brother from another gutter.
I mean, isn't this how we made our discoveries in chemistry? I mean, I'm not a historian, but,
clearly
kicking it, setting it on fire, maybe adding water, see what it'll do. That's how we got to where we are today.
Is it?
And so therefore, I choose to forgive, because standing on the shoulders of giants, very much Isaac Newton style.
Yes.
Yes. So definitely forgiven.
Definitely forgiven.